They told you to speak up, to be honest, to share how you feel, and you did. Once, maybe twice, until it backfired. They didn't listen, they got defensive, they called it drama, or overreacting, or too much. So you stopped, not because you had nothing to say, but because you learned it was safer to swallow the truth than live with the consequences of saying it out loud. That's how it begins, not with silence, with hesitation. You start choosing your words more carefully. Then you start avoiding certain topics. Eventually, you stop talking altogether, at least in the way that matters. You still show up, you still laugh, you still look like yourself, but inside, something goes quiet. Not by choice, by conditioning. Because nothing shuts a voice down faster than being punished for using it. You learn that truth can cost you connection, that honesty can turn love cold, that asking for what you need makes people uncomfortable. So now you ask for less, you share less, you shrink what you feel until it's small enough to hide. And everyone says you're easy to be around, low maintenance, chill. But that's not peace. That's fear doing a really good impression of calm. You've learned to avoid conflict so well, you started avoiding yourself too. Not fully, not on purpose, but enough to keep your needs quiet. Enough to stop telling the truth, even when it burns inside your chest. That kind of silence isn't natural, it's survival. It's what happens when the people who said speak only ever wanted to hear what made them comfortable. So now you carry a voice that's heavy with everything it never got to say. Not because you're weak, but because at some point it became clear. Honesty had consequences, and safety didn't include being fully seen. The punishment didn't always look harsh. It wasn't always yelling or rejection. Sometimes it was a sigh, a look, a shift in tone. Sometimes it was just them changing the subject because they didn't want to go there, but you felt it, that flicker of disappointment, that subtle withdrawal, and your body learned this is what happens when you say too much. So now you edit yourself before anyone else gets the chance to misunderstand you. You second-guess simple things, how you feel, what you need, what you want to say. You start thinking 3 steps ahead in every conversation. If I say this, will they still respect me? If I bring this up, will it push them away? So, you default to being easy. You say, it's fine, before you even check if it really is. You downplay what hurts. You rehearse your honesty until it sounds gentle enough not to rattle anyone. And the worst part? Most people have no idea you're doing any of it. Because you've gotten so good at protecting other people's comfort, you forgot how to protect your own voice. You might not even notice it anymore. How you pause before speaking, how you smile when you're actually hurt, how you convince yourself certain things aren't worth bringing up. That's not self-regulation. That's learned silence. And over time, it takes a toll. It disconnects you from your instincts, makes you doubt your perception of reality, turns every honest emotion into something that needs to be translated, softened, or hidden. That kind of disconnection doesn't just stay in conversations. It shows up everywhere. You hesitate in relationships. You water down your goals. You play it safe, even in places where you're supposed to be free. Because deep down, you still believe there's a price for being fully known. And that price is loss. So now you keep the peace at the cost of your own clarity. You stay likable, but never feel fully loved. You give people what they can handle and call it connection, but it never feels like enough. Not for them, for you. Because the truth is still there. It didn't disappear. It just learned how to sit still. But unspoken truth doesn't stay quiet forever. It becomes tension. It becomes resentment. It becomes the slow ache of never really being seen. Even in rooms where you're constantly showing up. And maybe no one else can feel it, but you do. You feel it when someone says, "I love you," and part of you wonders if they really know what they're loving. You feel it when you leave conversations wishing you'd said more, but don't know how. You feel it when something hurts and you dismiss it before anyone else gets the chance to. That feeling, that's not you being dramatic. It's your voice waiting. Not to be louder, but to be safe. There's no big moment, no final confrontation, no scene where you finally shout everything you've held in and it all gets fixed. Reclaiming your voice doesn't look like that. It starts slower, smaller, quieter than people expect. It starts the moment you stop asking yourself, will they be okay with this? And start asking, will I still respect myself if I stay quiet? That's the shift. You don't have to become louder. You don't need to speak with perfect timing. You don't need to explain your entire history just to justify one boundary. You just need to stop betraying yourself for the sake of being understood, because sometimes they still won't understand. Even when you say it calmly, even when you make it easy, even when you give them every opportunity to meet you halfway. And that's the part no one wants to admit. Some people will only love the version of you that keeps quiet. That version you had to build. The one who smiled to keep the peace, who translated every need into something soft enough to not scare anyone away. That version served a purpose. They got you through, but they're not meant to carry you forward. You're not here to manage everyone's reaction. You're not here to rehearse every truth until it sounds reasonable enough. You're here to speak from where it actually hurts, even if your voice shakes, even if it doesn't land, even if someone walks away. Because the longer you stay silent, the more you teach yourself that your truth is dangerous. And the more you rehearse safety, the less you remember what honesty actually feels like. You'll feel guilty at first. That's part of it. Because when you've spent your life being the peacekeeper, saying what you really feel feels violent, even when it's not, even when it's soft, even when it's overdue. You're not responsible for how others receive what you've buried. You're only responsible for not abandoning it anymore. That might look like saying, "This hurt me," without dressing it up. It might look like asking for space without rushing to explain why, or saying no without permission, or standing in a room and letting your expression change, even if it disappoints someone. It's not about becoming loud, it's about becoming real again. And the more real you become, the less tolerance you'll have for the roles you used to play. That's how you know it's working. Not because people applaud it, but because pretending gets harder, because performing your personality starts to feel like grief. And when that grief shows up, welcome it. It means something sacred is coming back, your voice. Not the one that's been filtered and rehearsed, the one that was buried the first time you got shut down, looked at sideways, told you were too much, too sensitive, too honest. That voice is still here, still waiting, still yours. You don't have to unleash it, you just have to stop leaving it behind. One truth at a time, one moment at a time, one unedited sentence that says, "I'm done apologizing for who I am when I stop performing." That's how it begins. Not with volume, with presence. And from here on out, your presence will speak louder than any silence ever did.